Hello everybody, welcome to Jacqueline Ann Designs. Today I am having my April haul video. And so if you're interested in that, please join in. I've got hauls here, and please excuse, this is my home. You are going to hear my puppy dog in the background. I bought from several different Etsy dealers. And I've also got some stuff from Amazon to go over. So I thought we could talk about those things and go from there. Now, the unfortunate thing that I did was I took things out and messed them up. In that I bought a couple of different lace kits and fabric scrap kits and got them all mixed up. Now, luckily enough, they are all from the same seller. So I can kind of verbally tell you what I got, but they are kind of all mixed up. And my apologies for that, but I think you're still going to be able to see the quality of everything. Now, the first Etsy seller that we are going to talk about was a seller, and her name is Gertie Bird's Buttons, and she specializes. She has a lot of things, but she specializes in vintage buttons. Now, these buttons I have not really taken out of the package yet, so you will be looking at them with me. And this first are some glass buttons, antique glass buttons. They're actually made out of glass. But see, this one's like a little ball button that sews on there. Wow, these are gorgeous. I love them. Turn it over, and there's your design. Wow, hope you can see those. Just absolutely gorgeous. And I kind of went on a button frenzy this month, as you're going to see. And what happened was last month I just had different projects, and I wanted vintage buttons for them, and I had none. And I said, you know what, I'm going to order myself a small stash of buttons, and then I will build up from there. Well, I went a little bit button crazy this month. So you can see there's a very good assortment here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So there's 16 buttons in this packet with the glass buttons. Now, I'm going to put all of these back because I don't want anything to happen to them. I have always loved antique buttons, and anyway, so, and then, I probably won't open all of these up because the, video could take forever, but I think we can see what kind of assortments they are. This one is just a various assortment of different pearlized buttons, decorative buttons. They're all plastic, so they're not a shell or anything like that. Let's see. But most of them are kind of flat buttons, as you can see here. So that's just kind of a small collection of different buttons. I think there might be a shell button right there. And then, but it's just kind of a button assortment. And a lot of her buttons are in groups of colorized buttons. So like, for instance, this one was supposed to be purples and blues and some greens. And that does pretty much look like what is here. So I'll do the same thing with this one. I'll just kind of stretch the package out once I figure out where the end is. There it is. So it's a collection of an assortment. Okay, you can see. Very pretty, huh? I just love that. Look at that one there. It's kind of like carnival glass. Anyway, is anyone here the same age as me where they would remember what carnival glass was? And then this one's an assortment of small little buttons. And then there's just kind of, there's some, love that little tiny blue one that's kind of popping up there. I like all of the vintage buttons, but some of them, you know, are just cuter than others. Look at that little one there with the diamond kind of rhinestone on it. And look at this little blue one right here. Look at that. I don't know if you can see it clearly on there or not. But okay, and then there's this one. Okay, and this one was pinks, different shades of pink primarily. Okay. Now some of these things she's already out of, so I'm not necessarily going to put a link to her shop or anything, but I will tell you the name, I mean to these items, but the name of her shop, if you want to go look at other collections that she may have, because she had quite a few different things, is Girdie Birds Buttons. Girdie, Girdie. Second word is Birds, buttons. It's plural. Now, then the next thing I ordered was a set of flour sack scraps. I actually kind of misunderstood, but that was my own fault when I was reading the description, thinking these were going to be a little bit bigger than this, but I still like the size of them. I'm still going to be able to use them all. Some of them I wish had been cut a little straighter, and I'm not going to go in here in that much detail, but it's all off of the feed sacks and flour sacks, that kind of thing. So it's off of the vintage flour sacks. You know, I was out traveling in Utah, and I went into a little like general store out on some tribal lands. It was like tribal owned, and there were big old bags of flour in there, and they were still in this pretty decorative fabric. If I had something to do with the flour, I probably would have bought one just to get the fabric. One moment, please. Sweetie pie, no. Get out of the trash. Okay, so you can see, I believe there were like 25 pieces here for $15. Now, she said that a lot of times in a lot of her feed sack bundles, she throws in a piece of calico because she thinks that it goes with the... and that might be it, I don't know. She thinks that it goes with the feed sacks. But I'm unable to tell. If it is, the fabric is so much the same as the feed sacks that I can't really tell the difference between them. So these came from the same one as those other buttons, Girdie Birds Creations. And so did this. Now this is kind of a collection of things that came in two different sets. One was a blue set, so it was coordinated with blue, blue yarns, blue, things like that. That everything that coordinated with blues and I believe some yellows. And then the other one was various different colors of just various different colors, mainly in the pink categories. And it came with this bag of vintage papers, which were labeled for, that they could be used for junk journaling. Now, some of these cannot be used in junk journaling. Like there's a very large cabinet card, and I would never be the one to cut up a cabinet card like that. But yet it's very pretty. It's just not useful for me. But I know people that collect those, so I will probably give that as a gift to them. And there's some really neat ones that will be as pictures. Now, I'm not going to take that paper all apart, but I will show you some especially yummy samples from it. But I did want to go through some of the, this was the blue kit. And there might have been some more of this lace in the blue kit. So I'm just going to show all the fabric and lace I got together, and so that you would know, but just know that this was actually sold as 2 different groups. Okay, so it came, and there are actually 2 of these. There's another one in here that's kind of got of these fabric flowers that kind of have a pink tinge to them. I think that's really gorgeous. And then it came with this thread, which I will definitely make use of. And then this is a vintage thread. It says it's made in Germany, but it's a brand I never heard of. But you can tell it's very vintage. And then also looking at the little label that came on it. And then some more crochet. And of course, look at this. This is not crochet. This is... okay, guys, I'm having... put it down in the comments below if your brain has not gone on park. And you can remember the name of this. It's almost a lost art. My brain is just not going for it right now. And so there's that. And there's several more pieces of that came in the blue kit. See this? Isn't that gorgeous? And this one. And then this one. And then this is a crochet. Isn't that pretty? And then there's this little piece of embroidery. I mean, I don't know if someone just started on something, but I love this fabric. It will definitely get used. See this? Love it. Don't know if I will leave the trim on here. This is all hand sewn on here. Or if I will use the fabric and the trim separately. We'll see at the time. Want to get ready to use it. This is a very, very light fabric with some really fine detailed lace on the edge. And this is another one that when you look at it, it's hand sewn on there, but whoever did that, it's so ultra tiny. I mean, I almost felt like I had to get out a magnifying glass to look at it. What fine workmanship that is to attach that. Now this one is machine attached. But it's pretty, very pretty. I like it. And then there was, between the 2 packages, there was this piece of lace. There were also, let's talk about finish with the fabrics and the laces first. Another one. Doilies. Doily parts. Here's the fabric swatches. Very, very thin. Light. But that is the only thing I will say about a lot of her fabric swatches is see the way that they're cut. Yeah. You know. And then this, look at how pretty that is. And this one is machine sewn on. Yeah, very pretty. I kind of feel there's this is from something modern, but I'm not really sure just because of the way the threads are in there. I don't think that's a cotton. Yeah, I think that's a blend. See, pink one. They're gorgeous. Came with 2 pieces of ribbon scraps. And these kinds of things are perfect for you know, slow stitching and junk journaling. You just use a lot of that kind of stuff. See that? And this is, I think this is a fairly modern piece. And there's a piece of ribbon that has been machine sewn on to this lace on the bottom. It's very pretty. There's this. Look at that. Pretty. And this is a book. This is a old antique bookmark. See it? For a Bible. That was in there. And here's the other rose or flower kind of. It's kind of got a faint pink to it. So I don't know if you can see the difference on the camera or not. So I like that. Came with this piece of fabric. And this piece of a either an embroidered doily, or it could have been from a dress or sham, who knows. Anyway, that's really pretty and dainty. And it came with this. And a piece of netting. Here's another piece of loosely woven fabric. And it actually, when you look at it closely, trying to figure out how that was attached, this edging. It almost looks like whoever made it crochet, like did really tiny crochet, and then used a little tiny crochet hook and went through how coarse this fabric was. And then this is a machine made. That's very pretty and dainty. And then it had this little bow. This is a very modern piece of trim. Then it had some pink embroidery floss. One moment. Now this particular packet also came with a piece of a wooden spool with some vintage pink sewing thread on it, and my dog promptly found that on the end table to my chair and chewed it up. Now she is 4 years old, has never been a chewer, so I don't know why this behavior is happening. Now also this packet of between the blue packet and the pink packet is the one that came with all of these papers. They had more buttons in there, more vintage buttons, and there's this partial package of shell La Mode buttons, and then there's some others down here, as you can see, a pink one. So there were some pink ones and some blue ones, because the blue set came with some blue buttons, and then this other one came with some other buttons. So those buttons I can add to my collection. And then it came with this. This is a genuine. It's pretty vintage playing card. There's several pictures in there. This is the neatest one. I don't know why I'm interested in those little ladies, and I'm looking at this woman's dress. She's got a skirt on, and then her top. She's got a pretty intricate sewn-in yoke in her blouse. Now this woman over here, hers is just gathered, which is pretty, but the sewing skills and everything to put on a yoke like that's really nice. And it had a ticket that says from Coats and Clark's automatic reorder. Then it looks like you mail something in and they automatically send you something that you're reordering. So you send in the stub, and they send you back your item. And then I wanted to show you this beautiful stationery set. It's quite vintage. Look at the glue. It's all yellowed there. I don't know when this would have been from. And then this is the writing paper that came with it. And it was all intact in there. Isn't that beautiful? Like I say, this is all from Gertie's Gertie Bird's Buttons. And then there was also, this is in German, it's on rag paper. It's pretty old. I would say this is possibly from maybe the 1700s or early 1800s at the latest, just based on the kind of paper. And then, of course, these are from, this is from 1939. It has a date on it. I think that's going to look really cool. And this is equally aged, just like some columned paper. But look at this, an account with a teacher's fund. That beautiful writing. And this is 1870, 1871. And here's more on the back. Pretty cool. Okay, this picture I'm not impressed with. It's showing people getting stabbed with knives. It's really not all that vintage. I don't care for it. And there's a lot of other things in here. If you like to use vintage papers and things like that in there, in your journals, this Gertie Bird's Buttons is where I got this packet of paper. It came with some lace and some fabric for junk journaling and slow stitching. So I am going to, just so nothing happens and nothing, because some of this paper that came in here is pretty vintage, and that's another reason I didn't get it all out. I'm afraid I'm going to crack some of it. Some of it needs to be used and adhered to something so that it doesn't do that. That doesn't happen. Now, the other thing I got from Gertie Bird's Buttons is this large collection. I want to get up here to my thing so you can see it. It's a very large collection of punch needle embroidery yarn. So you can see over here, let me get some of it out and I'll show you. I don't do punch needle, and I have no plan of ever doing punch needle embroidery. But my plan for this is that it will kind of give me a little bit of a jump start on getting some more threads for my slow stitching. See, this is acrylic, it's not wool, but I think it's going to work nicely for helping me get my stash of colors started, and I'll be able to use this in slow stitching. So that is why I got it. And it was a very, very good price. I don't remember, it was like $15 for all of this whole thing. And it's pretty clean. I'm really happy with what she sent. It is vintage, so when I say it's clean, I mean it's obviously not been thrown into the washing machine, but it's been probably in a bag or something to protect it. So I'm quite happy with it, and so that is that. Now, I told y'all that I went button crazy. Now, the next person that I'm going to talk about is called, this woman is called Buttonism that sold this, that I bought this from. And I've got the packaging turned over. She sent this and, yeah, Buttonism. There are cards in there. And, you know, I already told you that I really love the glass buttons. And I don't know if these are glass or not, but by the way, I'll be using that for sure. But they're definitely vintage. They're iridescent, just little balls. They're made in Germany. Anyway, they're beautiful. They're not all scratched up. They're very brand new looking. But they're still in the original thread, everything that had them on the card. So I'm very happy with that. Right now I'm going to take this tissue and put it in my paper stash. It'll get used because I'm actually making a journal with some very similar flowers and colors in it as that. So that came from a shop called Buttonism. And I was very, very happy. With her shipping, she got it here very, very fast. So far, all of these sellers on Etsy, I think, have done a good job. Okay. Now, This next one comes from a shop called Crazy Old Antiques. And what this is it's just a bunch of antique and vintage fabric trims. Let me get them out here. Now these do smell a little dusty, but for a lot of them are wrapped. And I'd say some of this is from the 70s, just looking at the wrapper. But, so that's bias tape. I think this is for hemming. Yeah, it's like a silken ribbon almost. This is a bias tape, red bias tape. I'm going to crinkle all of that up and, you know, use it in my journals. Let's see. So I got several. This is slightly different shade of red there. And then here's actually some that's a little bit loose. Probably, yeah, I don't know which one it came off of. This is some bias tape that comes in this thing. And this is like a navy blue colored. That one's a little bit dirty. And as far as bias tapes, this is a narrow pink one. Still in its original packaging. The bottom bit of the cellophane is missing. And this is kind of peach. It's the same color as this one. And this one's going to make some cute ephemera in a journal too. The label from that. I think these are probably the same brand, even possibly the same dye lot. Let's see. See, those just make neat ephemera using the labels from them too. But this is kind of almost a hot pink. And there's another one here that, no, it's not exactly the same color. Yeah, it's a little bit different. And then here's a white. Now, this is not pure white. It is quite stained. But you know us junk journalers, as long as it's nothing gross and nothing, yeah, I mean, it's inside of its packaging. So I think it's just discoloration from aging. So that's cool. And this is from JCPenney's. So this is a facing for, you use it to, like if you're making a skirt, a lot of times, you cut your facing for your garment out of your fabric that you're using. Well, this was for a skirt, and you could actually use this as your facing instead of cutting it out of your fabric. But a lot of people also use this on their hem. They would hem up just a little bit of their fancy fabric, and then this would be sewn onto the edge, and this would turn into, their hem to also cover up any rough edges or anything. And then this is a little bit wider, brand new, still in the package, pink bias tape. And then this is another hem facing right here. This is a hem. This one's actually called a hem facing. And see, they're just different brands. They're the same thing. And this one's gray. And then there's more of a silken kind of, it's not bias tape, it's seam tape. And then there's several packages of Rick Rack, and these are very aged in color. They're white, but they are definitely, the color has aged, even though they're still sealed up in their packages. So, white Rick Rack. Same deal with this one. Now, this one's open slightly, plus whoever originally owned it stuffed some pink down inside of there. But it's kind of there's some bias tape in here, the same exact color as that. So, but anyway, I don't know what color they would call that. But it's a shade of like a dark kind of almost not hot pink, but fuchsia pink, kind of. And then this is something, this is a seam binding. And when I first started sewing, when I was a kid actually, you put this at a lot of your seams. Once again, people, and this one's for knit or stretch fabrics. So that kind of tells you, it's after the time when, it gives you a little bit of an idea of the age of this. But anyway, but you know you're not going to get anything like this for 39 cents. So for me, it's just going to be green, kind of a evergreen, forest green lace. But this was actually used to bind your seams so your edges didn't show. So that is that. That's what I got from, once again, Crazy Old Antiques 1. So that's the Crazy, and it's spelled, Crazy is spelled with a K, so, and it's all one word, Crazy Old Antiques numeral 1 is her Etsy store that I got this from. Very, very rapid shipping. It's just as she described it in her description. Okay, now I told you that I went button happy, and here we go. Let me pull this. Move, Sweetie Pie. Sweetie Pie is my puppy, and I don't know why she chewed that thing of thread up. But anyway, first let's look at the size of this box. This is the Priority Mail medium box. I don't want you to see her address. Let me quickly turn that. And it is full of antique and vintage buttons. Now, and this was very inexpensive. I honestly cannot remember how much this was. I think it was about $40. But for this box is full of antique buttons. All sizes, all types. Yeah, really cool. Some are shanked, some are not. You know, some are like these little shirt buttons here. Then there's some, these little lemon yellow pearlescent buttons. Pretty. 29 cents for a card of buttons. Amazing. But anyway, and there's military buttons in here. There's big old coat buttons, all the way down to little bitty buttons. There's shell buttons, everything in here. So anyway, I am going to be having a great time with the buttons. This came from someone called Pilgrim's Junkyard with the numeral 1. So Pilgrims, so be plural, Junkyard numeral 1. And I gave you Crazy Old Antiques, the name of her store. I gave you the incorrect number, name of her store. Crazy Old Antiques is the woman that had all the seam binding and stuff that I showed you. That hers did, I told you she had the numeral 1 after the word antiques. She doesn't. Her store is very simply called Crazy, and the word crazy starts with a K instead of a C. Crazy Old Antiques. That's it. These buttons came from Pilgrim's Junkyard with the numeral 1 after the word junkyard. So those are the sellers where I got everything from Etsy. Okay, Moon Sweet Pie. All right. Now I want to show you some things that I got from Amazon. These are an inexpensive set of brushes. I've got some acrylics over there and some other things that I've had for a while. And somehow when I moved, I did not get here with my brushes. And what I figure about getting a nicer set of brushes is when I get better at it, or I decide I'm going to be better at it, then I will think about getting a nicer set of brushes. Now these do come with a storage case. And it's it's got a significant size. I'm really happy to get these so I can do a lot of splattering. But this is so it's from a company called Hagiri. And anyway, so it's got different sizes of blood. It was very inexpensive, so I'm sure they're not the highest quality. Oh, Hager, and that's an exclamation point. It's not an I, so it's Hager, exclamation point. That's the name of the company. So anyway, I bought these off Amazon. And I'm not giving all the prices for everything because some of the stuff I purchased earlier in the month, and I honestly don't remember. And I've gotten specific purchases a little bit mixed up because I mixed up all my purchases. Now, I bought a bunch of these from Amazon, these Folk Art paints. The reason being is I wanted some inexpensive acrylics. I wanted to start doing some more experimenting on my jelly printer. And the acrylics that I've got are inexpensive acrylics as well. I had decided for everything that I'm working with right now, as far as the paints, other than my watercolors, I have my watercolors are some pretty good brands of watercolors. But for the jelly mat and just doing some regular painting that I'm kind of working on right now, hope to take some classes in actually. I just decided to go with craft paints for the jelly printer. And also, the thing that I like about these particular paints is they're flat. They're not glossy. They're matte. And the other ones that I found that were matte that I would really like to give a try are by Golden. But just for 1 3-ounce tub, anyway, they were very expensive. And for a person like me that's just in the process of learning, doesn't know what they're doing, those were artist grade paints, and they were very, very expensive as far as my budget goes right now anyway. And I did not want to waste them and not be doing anything but making a mess. So I've actually heard pretty good things about this brand of paints on the jelly plate for printing. And so I said, why not? Give it a try. So I bought several different sets off of Amazon. This first one you're going to see is a metallic. It comes with a chocolate brown metallic, a bright gold metallic. Now, and I understand Folk Art is in the middle of changing their labels, but they're telling me, I actually wrote the company, they're saying that all these that I ordered are actually from the matte, but they're just in the process. Even though these are metallic, they're not glossy. So we'll see what happens when I actually use them. And I'm going to do swatch on them because to me, even though, okay, they're not the most expensive paints, I think it's important to know what it is I'm about to apply, especially if a jelly print is turning out really nice and suddenly I put another layer on and I just totally ruin it because I did not understand what that paint was going to look like. So I'm going to go ahead and swatch all these out, not tonight, but I will in a future video, and you'll see that posted soon. But anyway, so this is a platinum, sterling silver, gold. So that one's brilliant, bright gold. This is just gold. And it says something, or 14 carats. So it makes me wonder if a different name for it in the past was 14 carats. This is rose gold. This is a charcoal black that's metallic. That's going to be interesting to look at. These were literally like $1 something a bottle when you averaged out the amount. And then this one's an antique gold. So that is the first set of paints. These were all put into sets and on Amazon by the Folk Art Company. The purchase that, yeah, so there's that. And Folk Art paint, I have used one of their golds for a while now on the jelly plate. So, and I've been very happy with that to the point, well, matter of fact, let me show it to you, that I've been buying that. It's a rose gold. I've been buying that in a big bottle. So, you know, I really like the rose gold. Now, this set here that I'm about to show you is a pastel set. And by the way, there was only one color in all of these sets that I got that was duplicated. And it was one of these pinks. I can't remember which one. So one of these pinks, I've got, it's one of these two actually, I think. I've got, came in the, was duplicated in another set you'll see in a moment. So this one is all pastels, this kit I'm about to show you. Sunflower, fire coral, Baby Pink. I think that's the one that's duplicate. And apparently at some point it was called Baby Pink Rose Layette. So maybe that's French. I don't know, because I noticed some of the stuff on the labeling is French. But they told me that these that are labeled satin, the new labeling that's, you know, I guess right now they're in the process of switching things over on their labeling. And the new labeling says matte. So you may see them out in the market that are, you know, fresh paints. I don't mean to say that any of them are old, but they're just in the process of switching labels. So, but they said they won't any longer say satin. They're going to say matte. And that, like I say, that's what I wanted, was matte. Ocean View is the name of that color. Patina, so it's supposed to look like, you know how rust, different things that rust sometimes get that green color on? You know that there's a color similar to that in our Tim Holtz inks. Sea Green. They have quite an array of colors. And I mean, I got these 3 sets and I didn't even nearly cover their whole colored collection. Wisteria, isn't that pretty? Kind of a very light lavender. I use a lot of this. I really think I'm going to end up buying this in a bigger container. But it's a vintage white. And you can see it's kind of an off-white. And they have another color that I don't think is in any of these sets. And I can't remember. It's called Buttercream. Something like that. And that's another one I'm probably going to be buying in big bottles. Let's see. Because really the main other paint I want for what I like to make is I want it to be matte. So that would probably be the expensive golden ones that are in a pot. They have these matte paints. So I don't know. I may have to just start getting them one paint at a time. But right now I need to make sure that, you know, I'm confident enough to use anything that expensive. Cool Bisque, it's kind of a rose. It's like if you had a bisque doll, a porcelain doll, the color of their skin. That's the color of that paint. This one's called Fresh Foliage. This one's light lavender. So it's much lighter than this Wisteria, much different tone. And then this one's Parchment. Pale Yellow. Sky Mist. Light Blue. See, when I put these away, I'll be arranging them on the shelf by color. Soft Apple. Now, last but not least, was just a general mix of their paints. And this set came also with some brushes. They're the same brand as the paints, I believe. Yeah, these are Folk Art brushes. And I could not figure out what this one was called. This one's like these are made, scruffy brushes, it says, for making, and there's 2 different ones that are scruffy brushes, a larger one and a small one. So, and here they're calling them texture brushes, but, and another, yeah, it says on them they're scruffy brushes. So anyway, I thought that was kind of interesting. So I got a set of brushes that came with that. And this is almost very hot, almost vivid pink. It's called Bright Pink. Cardinal Red. Pretty red. Pure Orange. Licorice. Coffee Bean. Classic Green. True Blue. And see, these have the new labels. They say matte. So True Blue, and this one's Cinnamon. This one is Brilliant Ultramarine. Huh. Looks almost like a very, very bright navy blue. Let's compare that to this one that's called True Blue. You know, I don't know if it's visible on the camera how much brighter this. They are totally different blues. Dutch Aqua. Yeah, here's the one that's a duplicate. So it's only one of these that was a duplicate for the entire set, and that is this baby pink. This one's Berry Wine. Now these bottles are frosted, so they're not totally clear. Medium gray, very obviously gray. Wicker white, very bright white. This one's navy blue. And this is French blue. Let's see. All totally different blues. Apple red and lime green. So there were other reds in here. Not tons of reds, actually. But there was one other red, I think, between all of these kits. Yeah, cardinal red. And both of them seem to be cool reds. And this is another lavender shade. You've got, this one's called light lavender. This one was called wisteria. And this one is called, go get, lavender. And then daffodil yellow to add to the yellows. And this is another one of the kind of aquas. Aqua. This one's linen. I like that. We'll see what it does when we use it. The last two, this one's called coffee latte. So we had a coffee, but this one's coffee latte. So it's a little bit creamier, milkier color. And then this one's a thicket. So it's a kind of a deeper hue of that forest green. So those are my paint. That concludes my haul video. Want to thank you guys and for putting up with such a long video. And we will see you at the next video, which is going to be a swatching of my new colors. You have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.